It's really dark. I'm sorry about the lighting. It's because every time the light on it turns it green. See, what I want to talk about today was something that people tend to think self-harm is true, and it's actually something that I used to think until I properly learnt. So up to like 3 years ago, this is what I thought, and that's that bigger/more cuts means a bigger problem. Now, I can understand why people think that the more cuts you have or the worse they are, then it must be more of a problem, which, medically speaking, yes, because you need more attention to them and it takes more to keep them clean. However, mentally, it means the same, because at the end of the day, self-harm is self-harm, whether you do a little bit or a lot. And that tends to be what the psychiatrists focus on, the fact that you do it, not the amount that you do it. If you can hear snoring, it's the dog. It's this thing here. Yeah, a lot of people do think that the more cuts you have, the worse, the more urgent it is that you need attention from a psychiatrist. But if you different people have good and bad days with self-harm. So one person who's done a lot one day, that could not be a normal thing for them. They could only do a few, and vice versa for someone who hasn't done a lot one day but normally does. Because all it means is that if they've shown you what they've done on that day, that's just a snapshot of what their week could have been like. People get this misconception of the bigger problem is someone who cuts more/deeper from pictures that they've seen online. Now, if you were subscribed to this channel when I had my very first 2 videos up, I did a video on people who post pictures online and my views on it. But if you weren't subscribed, which most of you weren't, what I said in that video was that people who post self-harm pictures online are triggering for other people. Because I know it's not the best thing to do, but people who have the urge to self-harm will sometimes go to the internet for a way of distraction, but that in itself can lead to problems, because you'll probably type in self-harm distractions or something like that and come across someone's picture of self-harm, and it'll have a massive trigger warning. Won't pay attention to the trigger warning. You'll scroll down anyway, and then before you know it, the urge has gone away because you self-harmed. And my view is that people shouldn't post the pictures online because it just triggers other people and isn't helpful to anyone. If you're one of these people who think that people who self-harm and have a massive problem are those who cut really deep or cut loads, then I'm sorry to say, but you are wrong. People who self-harm have just as big a mental issue as they do other people who self-harm. So you can't judge someone's mental state on what their arms look like or what their legs look like. If you're a person self-harms and you want help and you're going to go to your GP, then you don't have to self-harm really badly in order to go to the GP and him refer you or her refer you somewhere, because they will just judge you the same. If you say you self-harm and you need help, then they really have to give you it, unless you've been recently discharged, in which case watch my getting back into cams video, which I did. You heard someone go, "Oh, you're not a real self-harmer," then come, basically. Just tell them to go away, and because self-harmer, as they put it, is a person who harms themselves. Doesn't matter how badly, how often, they have just self-harmed, and that's it. If it's faint cuts, deep cuts, red cuts, Purple cuts if they're bleeding, if they're not. If they're scars, if they're not. If they've been tattooed over, if they haven't. If you can see them, if you can't, they still self-harm. End of story. Yeah, mini rant there. Let's try and calm it down again. Yeah, those who say that real cutters cut deep and you don't have a self-harm problem unless you cut deep, or those who cut worse have big problems. Watch the video again if you still think that, and try again, because it doesn't matter. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a fantastic day.